We are activating your unique self-discovery one show at a time. The Orchard of Wisdom Self-Discovery podcast are at your fingertips, just waiting to inspire and invite you in discovering just how awesome you really are and how to navigate through life in joy, enrichment, personal abundance, in mind, body, spirit, heart, and soul. All the people we bring you are here to serve you on your journey of life. Do enjoy our next show. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another edition of Choose Positive Living right here on selfdiscoverymedia.com. I'm your host, Sarah Troy, and my guest, who is in Mexico suffering the sun at the present moment, is Eileen Head. We're going to be talking about living your best life. Well, what does that mean? You know, she says it's about changing it's about changing sabotaging mindset patterns and releasing limited beliefs. Those old patterns are always getting in the way of us moving forward. And she says many women 50 above, it's all there. Is this all there is? There's low-grade depression and sometimes resentment. We get to that age where we think, have the glory days been behind us? Is there anything else in the front? We've raised our kids, maybe had a career, often feel stuck in the same patterns. The relationship isn't like what it used to be, or maybe they're single and looking for a partner. Life becomes humdrum, monotonous, hopeless, and they feel never going to fulfill a dream or even have a dream again. And this is kind of quite common to feel it at a certain age, at a certain stage in life. How do you remove yourself from that pattern and move forward? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. She says she's going to teach people how to thrive, how they can come to no matter what your relationship status is or situation is, you can still thrive. It's about changing those sabotaging mindset patterns and those limiting beliefs and transforming. She's going to teach people the law of attraction and how to manifest, live in their best life. And we're going to be talking about that mindset and that positivity, because it's all about good vibrations, folks, and stepping into those good vibrations, not feeding what does not work for you, but really nourishing what will work for you. Welcome to the show, Han.
Thank you for having me on. I'm really excited to be here and share this message because I do see a lot of people who lose themselves and lose hope. And what I'm here to tell you is you can create your best life.
Yeah, and we have to look at, oh, the best life is behind me. No, it isn't. That was a chapter in your book of life. And there's
That's
going to
right.
be many chapters. As we get older, our children don't need us as much, or maybe our career has become redundant, or our relationship has changed status, or we just reach that roadblock. It's like, what else is there? Um, what do you mean there's the best life is still ahead of me? I'm getting older, the wrinkles are showing, and you don't have the same energy as you used to have. So it's sometimes for people, they don't realize it's just an end of a chapter, but you've got the pen to write the next one.
Absolutely. That's what's sad. A lot of people don't realize that is that they can create a new reality. I was married for 35 years and I struggled in my marriage. Great people, we just were not
Mm-hmm.
connected. We weren't on the same level, the same vibe, and so I've been single quite a few years, and I had a lot of those limiting beliefs about I don't have enough money, I don't have anyone to do it, and that's what actually happened that brought this Mexico thing into play was I play pickleball, become a
Mm-hmm.
passion of mine. And all my friends, or a lot of them, were going down south for the winter. I thought, well, gee, I'd really like to go, but I don't have anyone to go with. I have limited resources. And then I went, use your tools.
Yeah.
Like manifest, you know the law of attraction, you know what vibrational energy you need to be on. Use your tools. And so that's what I started doing.
Mm. Well, I mean, very often we have teachers that teach but don't necessarily, take the same Kool-Aid. And it's we get stuck. We also get stuck in what manifesting is all about. This isn't like an Amazon delivery. I want, and then wait for the doorbell to ring. It doesn't work like that, does it?
Like,
It is
no.
really a frequency you need to tap into, a vision and a conviction of what you want to do, which is really, really important. So how do people set themselves up to really manifest what they want? Because they're going to put out all the things they don't want. not what they do want. And sometimes they don't even know what they want.
Yeah. So our mind is like a computer. What you tell it, it believes.
Mm,
So if you have limiting beliefs, I'm never, I can't, that's not for me. I'll never be able to. Your mind hears that and it
mhm,
creates that. So whatever our thoughts are, we are creating. We are in create mode every second of every day. So when you are, maybe you're going through a rough time, how do you move through that? How do you heal that so you stay on that energetic vibrational energy? Because that like attracts like. It's we are
mhm,
giving out radio waves all the time,
mhm.
sending out signals. I'm unhappy, we draw more unhappiness. I'm grateful, we draw more things to be grateful for. I'm loving my life down here. What shows up is an
Mm.
amazing life.
Yes. Exactly. It goes back to the title of the show. Choose positive living. What you seed, what you water, what you nurture is going to grow. But I think an awful lot of people that have allowed themselves to get into the humdrum or the doldrums, or, my marriage didn't work, I don't like my career, my kids don't need me anymore. They're so caught up in the lack without really understanding it's just an end of chapter. It's a conclusion. Now you can write the next one, but you can't write the next one in that mindset.
Yeah.
So you really have to kind of cleanse out that old thinking and insert a new enthusiasm, a youthful enthusiasm of what is next and what is possible.
I use an equation and it's C plus A equals O. Choices plus actions equals outcome. So if you're
Exactly.
choosing to stay in the mundane, if you're choosing to stay in the unhappiness, if you're choosing to believe this is all there is, then your outcome is going to be that. Your action is going to be, how can I shift my thinking? How can I transform my thinking? How can I, and it starts with little things, you start putting out there. I'll give you an example, while I'm on this vibrational energy, things come to me very quickly now. So I was decorating my office and I thought I'd really like a picture with those bright red poppies. And I had in mind what kind of picture it was. I went to a secondhand store and I walked in. There was my picture, my
Yeah.
ideal picture.
Mm.
And I wanted a cabinet, those ones that are all mirror for my entryway. I drove up and they were unloading one right in front of me for $10. This, this is how you begin to, as you become more confident in believing that you can bring things to you, you look for even the smallest things and you keep working on those until you work yourself up to that vibrational energy for the bigger things.
Yes, the momentum, right? Getting in
Right.
flow, getting in sync. It's not about, I'm going to be all positive right now, and then boof, later. But yeah, I always say the biggest leap is the first step. You are quintessentially kind of being newborn into a new life. The pencil or the pen or the brush is in your hand, it's your canvas. What are you going to paint? But start off small and allow it to manifest and become, because the universe always knows what you need. You've just got to get in sync with the universe.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the gratefulness part too,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because, the energy of being grateful, if you've ever had a friend who's telling you their sad story, their victim story, their negative story, even your energy goes down and
Mm.
you can feel it. And then when you're around someone who's positive and happy, you just gravitate towards that. And that's the power of energy that a lot of people don't realize. We create our own energy.
And, the thing is about people that have chosen to be in that pattern doesn't mean that they haven't had crises or suffering or struggle in their life, is that they chose to go through that process of redirection or recovery, and not what happened to them, but create who they are today because of what happened to them. And they made that choice. I interview all the time people who have had a crisis, and some of them, you look at them and go, how do you even get out of bed with what things have happened to them? But they made a choice. I'm not going to be a victim. This happened to me, but if it hadn't happened to me, I wouldn't have found my courage, my strength, my abilities to be who I am today. So we have to go through a process, don't we? It isn't just like I'm miserable one day and I'm going to be happy come by out the next day. We've
Yeah,
got to release those old patterns so we can
yeah.
create new ones.
It's the thoughts, it's the languaging, it's the limiting beliefs. And the other thing I find, people love drama. They
And it's
love
around them all the time, right? The
the
soap opera
drama of
violators
it.
going. Yeah.
And then they feed off the drama and can't
Yeah.
realize, how do I'm always in this pattern. Why
Yeah.
am I always in this pattern? Well, you're always in the drama.
Yeah. It's
So
what you're absorbing.
whatever happens to you is for you. And then you
Mm.
look at that. What life lesson is presenting me in this
Mm.
moment? It's never about the other person. They're just showing you a mirror of
Yeah.
what's going to trigger you so you can grow.
And even if something, horrific has happened by somebody else's hand, that is their onus on their journey, right? And it's like so many people, even with illnesses, they get a disease and they become the disease.
Yeah.
Not like I
Well, it
have a
becomes their
disease.
identity, right?
That, yeah,
Because
exactly. The victimization of anything. I am what happened to me. No, what happened to you was a form of your own self-discovery. And you're right, we do love the drama, but that is because we are presented with drama 24/7 on the news all around us. Oh, did you hear? Did you know? Oh my goodness. And we love to, as I say, take a pimple and blow it up into a volcanic eruption.
yeah, yeah, no kidding. And it's a trained behavior, like it's a
Hmm.
learned behavior, and any behavior can be changed with consciousness and awareness and
Yes.
willingness. And so when you start to create the picture of what do I want for my life? And it's not what you want, it's what you want to experience. When you
Yes.
start to get into the feeling of the experience and you keep that foremost in front of you. I never believed that I could spend 2 winters in Mexico. I had a lack thing going on. Well, I don't have the finances and I don't have a friend to go with. And then I shifted everything and went, you know what? This is what I want. This is what I'm going to put out there. And I had a friend call me and he said, I have a condo on the beach in Puerto Morales, which is near Cancun. And he said, I will rent it to you for $100 Canadian per person per week for 2 weeks.
I mean, that is a drop in the bucket.
That came from, well, let me rephrase that. That is not true. That did not come from nowhere. That came from me putting out there, I would love a
Yes.
vacation on the beach. And boom, you need to align with it, right? You put it out there, let go of outcome, and allow whatever experience comes to you.
Said to you before the show that I was in Puerto Vallarta this week, 8 years ago. And I had just celebrated my 60th birthday, and my best girlfriend had been away at the time. And my mother had died, and she'd missed my birthday, and there was a few other things that were happening. And she called me up one day and she said, I'm taking you to Mexico for 2 weeks. It's all on me. And "Guh." Guh.
Right?
Thank you. And it
Yeah.
was wonderful. It was just what I needed. We had a ninth floor apartment where you opened up the door and it was just sea to sky. We were away from all the resorts. We would go into town every day and just take our time, just really enjoy it. And it was exactly what I needed. And I didn't know I needed it. But this
Mm.
is the thing sometimes, if you just surrender,
Mhm.
all right, surrender out there. I don't know what I need, but I need something, universe, and the universe will provide.
Mhm. I'm open to receiving.
Mm.
I need healing right now. Bring me, I'm ready to receive. And then things show up, right?
Yeah, they do. Um, we are our own worst enemy, and most certainly getting stuck in old patterning. It's been with us, our entire lives and is in our DNA. It's there, and sometimes we just don't recognize that
Yeah.
this pattern is destructive. How would you say for people for them to kind of take stock on these patterns that have just become so much a part of breathing to them that they don't realize they're detrimental?
Well, you know, you said that it's DNA generational. Of course, our parents and grandparents were immigrants.
Hmm.
They left everything behind. They came to a new country. They were full of fear. There was a lot that happened, wars and depression, and there was so much lack
Mm.
that they lived in fear. And if we perpetuate those patterns without making the choice to shift them and replace them, then we continue that unconscious pattern. Life needs to be conscious. We
Yes.
need to stay at the present. It's like I said to my brother one time, have you ever opened your mouth and mom or dad fell out and you said something, you go, I don't even believe that. That's the old programming, right?
Hmm.
That comes up and you look at it and say, no, I'm shifting that. What I now believe is this. What I now believe is that. This is the experience I want.
Mm. The awareness, self-awareness. We love to lay blame on everyone else. Well, they made me do it, or when I'm around them, I'm like this. Well, it's like, where is your own self-awareness of your own reaction, your own verbiage? And I'm sure, like me, stuff has come out of our mouths when you go afterwards, you go, what the hell? Where did that come from?
Yeah.
And the dreaded thing where you realize I'm becoming like my mother. And
Only if
again,
you choose to.
only if you
Take
choose to.
the,
And
take the good parts, take the
yes,
good parts and replace the others, right?
yes. And but it's recognizing that though. And I think the
That's
first step
consciously.
to eliminating a pattern, which there has to be some consisting repatterning to eliminate the old pattern. You've got to insert a new pattern, but you've got to be aware what those patterns are in the first place.
Yeah.
And not worry about them and not like, oh God, I feel guilty. I didn't realize I was doing that. Or, oh my God, okay, all right. Hey, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to be aware of it. But what am I going to put in its place?
Yeah. I use the Enneagram personalities as my foundation of my coaching. Have
Mhm.
you heard of the Enneagram?
I'm not sure I have.
So the Enneagram, it's been around since the 1700s.
Hmm.
It is scientifically based on patterns of behavior, and it
Mm.
identifies 9 different personality types and their patterns, their gifts, their challenges, their stress patterns, conflict patterns, and how they can grow to be the best person they can be, how each personality feels emotionally loved. So when you learn your personality, for me, my personality was a supporter, a helper, a
Hmm.
giver, and I overhelped. And I was an
Yes.
intrusive helper, believing that I was doing the best. And it was not the best for other people. I was rescuing, I was enabling other people.
Mm-hmm.
So once I saw these patterns that I had and started to work on them and then replace them, the themes in our life, rejection is a big one when you're always, wanting to please
Yes.
people. And these patterns kept coming up. Guess what? Of course, it was a life lesson. But
Yeah.
it's how I teach people to grow, to understand themselves, to have compassion for themselves, because personalities are formed by the age of 7. They're a
Hmm.
survival technique. So there's behaviors to survive, to get the most love and attention. And then they become roles, they become identities, they become personalities. And it's the destructuring of that
Mm.
structure that gives you your freedom.
Yeah, I'm very much into kind of identification of what our human mind is. And mine was two colors, the Myers-Briggs program, the four
Similar.
key
Yep.
four key personality traits. And when I actually took that, it was a eureka moment for me
Yeah.
because it was always the rest of the family. Why can't you be like us? And it's like, why am I so different? And then kind of taking the personality test and identifying who I really am and who they were. And then when
Yeah.
I had them go through that test, it became a release. Okay, I can't expect you to be like us because that is just not your personality trait. And to also realize that we need to speak with each other in a different language, not always imposing our own language. And it became quite of as I said, a release of that expectation of you've got to, instead of an embracement of you are.
Yeah. Well, we personalize so much about other
Mm.
people, and it's
Hmm.
not about them. How
Hmm.
we're acting is our stuff.
Yeah.
If it, it's it's really important I had a situation down here recently and got into a bit of a spin with some people and just realized I was personalizing it,
Mm,
decided I was going to get out of the drama and just step back and allowed, like,
yeah.
okay, this is what it is. That's very empowering when you are able to do that. And those are the skills and tools we can teach people, right? The
Yes.
justification, the personalization, the drama, the limiting beliefs, the all of those things we've been talking about.
Yeah. Yeah. There's so much about life that we're unaware of because we're not in tune. And we're so busy living this outside life, this expectation life of what we should be, or we're only valued if we're this, or we've only got that much, and we only know these people. And if you're constantly living in that outside life, you're always going to be empty on the inside because life is an inside out job. It is a connection with the
Mhm.
universe, with your own heart, with your own consciousness, with your own spirit. And when you do make that connection and you do come into self, you can recognize any of those human patterns that we've, been so inbred with. But at the same time, you don't take things so seriously. You don't take things so personally because you understand that's where that person is. And I just happen to be the dumping ground at that point.
Yeah, yeah. And in those situations, I'm happy to stand in to put aside my own needs in the moment and just serve them,
Hmm.
listen to them, understand them, support them, maybe say to them, are you open to some insights? I might have some insights. And if they're not, be okay with that.
Yeah,
Just here's what I'm getting, or here's what I notice. Are you open to hearing that? And gently give them some insights because we keep doing the same stuff because we don't know any different.
exactly. Exactly. I mean, it's one of the reasons why I've been doing these shows for so long. Next week is my 11th anniversary in doing it. And it's because we learn when we listen. And I would say it's listen, learn, and apply. And
Mhm.
when we learn to listen, and listen to learn, then we have actually got those tools and those. "Oh, I hadn't thought about that. I didn't know you could do that. Well, that sounds interesting. It sounds like a solution. Now you can apply. That's the reason I do what I do. And it's when you find somebody that is willing to, willing to say, look, I am, at that crossroads, or I'm not sure where I'm going. I don't know how to get unstuck. And you can help them, because I'm like you, we love to help people. When
Yeah.
you can help them find their own path, find their own person, and step out there and be their own authentic selves. And you may never see them again, but that gratification of they are now at one with self. And that's really where we want to be.
And that is the vibrational vibe that
Hmm.
we're attaining, right?
Yes.
Is to get there. When I read my profile, it was like someone had known me better than myself, and oh, I like that, and I like that, and then it was like, oh, there's the parts that sting a bit. Those are the
Hmm.
challenges that you need to build into strengths, but it's all about consciousness and awareness, and once you're in that flow, I will tell you, there's such a feeling of peace and
Yeah.
flow and happiness that does come. The eternal search for happiness.
Hmm.
It's an inside job. We keep
It is.
saying that, but it's true.
It is. Do you find at the present moment, which I am seeing personally, that there is a rising of the consciousness? There is a
Yes.
rising up of people awakening. There's a rising up of people taking ownership and responsibility instead of the blame on everyone else. There is a desire for a consciousness of love, of more tranquility, more meaning.
Yeah,
And I think that it's a fabulous time to be a part of this because we really are seeing people becoming so much more aware.
I agree. Like, you know, I have some clients, women who've come to me and they just say, it's time for me. I want to
Yes.
I want to know more about me. I want to work on my own stuff. Instead of, in a lot of cases when people are in relationships, it's the other person's fault, right?
Hmm.
You're not happy because and it never is about the other person. And so and I'm hearing statements like, I want to work on my stuff, or
Hmm.
I don't want to get into another relationship till I figure out what I've been doing because I keep attracting the same person over and
Yes,
over, right?
exactly. And even when you are in, I was in a negative relationship, and some not very nice things went on. But then as I kind of went into my own recovery, my own journey to regain my own spirit and soul, which I lost for a while, I realized when I put myself up on a higher frequency, he was losing control. He even said so. I've lost the control I had over you. I had to realize that he was the person that liked to proverbially browbeat kick me, but I gave him the boots to do it. I had to
Yeah,
take that ownership. And
yeah,
but when I did, it wasn't a blame thing. It was I was the one, however much I thought I was fighting back, my vibration was at a level where he felt that he could do the kicking. And
yeah,
it's only when I rose that frequency and that vibration that he realized I can't get there anymore. She's above me. I can't get there.
yeah,
And it became our own, liberation and obviously separation. But it's we love to place blame, and everybody has to take ownership for what they do, right, in a relationship. But very often it is just two lost souls
yeah,
thinking that coming together we're going to complete each other, where really we need to do is find the completion of self and bring somebody on the same vibration so we can enhance and complement each other.
yeah. I've also had the experience where I've had women come to me and they're in the should I stay or should I go?
Yeah.
And that we talked about that low grade depression,
Hmm.
resentment. Is this all there is? I see a lot of couples going out for supper. They're not looking at each other. She's
Hmm.
clearly unhappy. He clearly knows he's the problem, only he
Hmm.
doesn't know how to fix it. And I've had women come to me and we work on them and the whole relationship shifts. Do they
Yeah.
need to get out of the relationship? No, they needed to work on themselves. And then I give them some tools about how to engage their partner. Appreciation is the magic in
Yeah.
relationship. Appreciation, when you start your languaging and shift to the positive vibe again,
Yeah.
I appreciate when you do that. You look for the things to appreciate. All those other things that nitpick and trigger you will
Yeah.
go away, or at
Yeah.
least you'll be able to work on those or manage them.
And even if it is that you don't get back together because the other person is not yet at that point of wanting to take the journey, you know that you're going to be separating on better terms, that you've
Yeah.
both tried to connect, but it didn't happen. But that doesn't mean you need to be mortal enemies.
Yep, that's right. And there's integrity in there too. For
Yeah.
me, you know, my husband was a great guy. He worked hard, but there
Hmm.
just wasn't that connection. And after
Hmm.
35 years, it became very painful to stay
Yes.
there. And I felt out of integrity because I no longer loved him. And I
Right.
thought I was out of integrity to stay in that situation. So it's when you're looking for those higher things of integrity and being true to yourself and honoring the other person too. As you said, they're not quite there yet to take
You're
the
right.
journey. And that's okay. Maybe you're the one who's going to show them that that's possible. My ex-husband is with someone. If he would have did a quarter of what he's doing with her, I would have been ecstatic.
Yes.
He wasn't ready yet, but I was his teacher, right?
Exactly. 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 I remember somebody saying to me, "Oh no, don't divorce, just put up with it. Singlehood is worse than being in a loveless marriage." And I thought, I can't do that to myself. I got to that point where I had placed enough value upon myself. I knew that I was worth so much more and that I had so much more to do that I couldn't do it under that umbrella, that I
Yeah.
had to step out and be my own person,
Mhm.
whatever the cost was. And the cost was I was walking away from that security and I was walking away from X, Y, and Z. They were just material things.
Yeah.
And it's not a reason to stay. Some people stay because the husband has good status or, they've got the bells and whistles that go along with it. But if your heart and your soul is not connected, then you're living a lie to yourself and to him.
Yep. You absolutely, and you're out of integrity with yourself.
You
That's
are.
the hardest, that's the
Yeah.
hardest thing to live with, right? Is that lack of integrity. And when I left, I had no idea how I was going to make a living. I had no idea. I just knew that for my soul, I needed to leave because I was
Yes.
I was having difficulty even walking into the house. It felt like picking up a boulder. And he
Yeah.
was very stressed too. He knew I wasn't happy, and so it is about that honoring of yourself.
And it's not like you didn't give it a try 35 years. And obviously, in hindsight, it was, perhaps I should have kind of done this earlier, which we always
Yeah,
look back on and go, if only I'd done this earlier. But then
yeah.
we also have to realize things happen when they're meant to happen. We're given signs all the time, but we walk around with blinkers. Oh, what's the answer? What's the solution? What's the answer? It's there. If you just took a breath and were present with self, you would see all the answers and the signs around you. But we get frantic, don't we? And we just don't see those answers that are glaring at us.
And that's because we're looking for someone else to change, right?
Yeah.
I believe in life lessons. Life lessons come and they kind of give you a little one and you miss it. And then it comes a little harder. And it's like, but I don't want to do that. And then all of a sudden it can be a crisis that comes that you get the choice of going down the rabbit hole or, kind of, I say it's like a water slide. You're sitting
Mm.
at the top of the water slide and the water is building up behind you. You go, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm not ready. And whoosh, the water comes and pushes you down.
Yeah. I call it a cosmic 2x4.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's rather like becoming the phoenix, becoming the ashes and rising from those ashes and just, becoming the model of yourself that you really are. But it's also realizing however long it's taken you to realize that you need to move on or that life can be different, you can make different choices and release those patterns. You've also got to realize it's going to take some time for the transition.
Yeah.
And again, another big word that comes along was two of them. One is permission. Give yourself permission. Nobody else needs to. The other is patience. Be patient with yourself.
And along with that, I think compassion.
Yes,
You
definitely.
know, when I start coaching people, I say, I want you to be compassionate with yourself now. You did what you did because that's all you knew at the present time.
Yeah.
You get nowhere with shame and blame and all the shoulda,
Mm,
woulda, all those sort of things. Be compassionate. See yourself as a little person inside and how you would treat that little person,
mm.
and then go forward with the joy of growing, the joy of learning, the joy of experiencing and exploring and the new possibilities that open up for you.
The other thing is a lot of people get stuck in, but I want an apology. I want an apology. Then you're stuck in the past. Um, apology from my ex came 22 years later, unexpectedly, because I wanted it to be a friendly release, and it took 2 years before he got to that point, and then another few years before the actual physical divorce. But we walked our daughter down the aisle together. This last weekend, we celebrated my grandson's second, my son-in-law's birthday, daughter-in-law's birthday, and my daughter's baby shower, and he was there. And he's there for those big things. Now, he doesn't always exactly fit in because he's not terribly proactive with us on the family level where we are. We really work at it to be a family, but he's there. And there isn't the animosity, it's so many years, but he actually did turn around and apologize and said, I never should have married your mother. I wasn't marriage material and I didn't treat her well. And the kids immediately looking at me and I'm going, well, yeah, thank you. No. And I said, there are scars. There will always be scars. But however, I have done my healing and I hope you have as well. But if you're waiting for that, waiting for that thing, you're going to wait a long time and it may never come. And that means you're staying in the past and not moving in the future.
Yeah. The same thing with me. I chose to not involve my kids. It was our issue.
Yes.
And so I worked very hard on collaboration and respect. And we got together even right after I separated, monthly for sure, for family
Mm.
dinners and
Yes.
and all those sort of things. So it was the easiest on the kids. But in order to do that, I had to do my own self-healing first.
Yeah.
Before I left, I did a lot of self-healing in order to be able to lead everybody through that process where um, there still could be. And in the beginning, my husband had a lot of trouble getting back to the kids or getting with the kids. And he'd say to me, can you get together with the kids? I can't get together with them. They're not responding to me. And
Mhm.
I had to be really firm with him and say, you know what? You suck. They don't want to
Yeah.
hear your sad story. They don't want to see your sadness. They don't
Right.
want to see all that. They have a family. They have a happy life. Be positive, and then they will respond.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I told my children, and we did that for the first 5.5 years of our separation. We'd still go to parties together. People knew we were separated, but they're our group of friends. And we'd do things with the kids and all of that until I had somebody in my life. And then that was changed. Although he had somebody in his life all along. But when somebody came in my life, then that changed altogether. But I said to my children, and they were younger, they were in their teens. And they actually the ones that told me to divorce. Mum, just we can't take this anymore. It's time. But I said to them, your relationship with your father is your relationship. It's
Yep.
got nothing to do with me. How you build that relationship, what kind of relationship you have, I'm there to support, but it's yours. And they understand their dad is not a apple pie dad. He's not a dad that's ever going to babysit. He's not a dad that really spends a lot of time with them. And they take him for who he is
Yeah.
and without expecting anything else. And they have that own relationship with them. And that's the reason why we can do the family things. And there's a lot of people feel, oh, I could never be friends with my ex, or a friend spurned me and I can never be friends with them again. Is if you both go through your own healing and you remember the connection you had before, you're not going to go back to that connection, but you are going to go back to the reason why that connection was there. And if willing, you can reconnect on a different level.
Yep. If you choose to. Yeah.
If you choose to. The choice, everything is choice. And
Yeah.
yeah, and we're not saying that in this choice of reseeding and watering and nurturing a new beginning in your awareness of who you are, why you are, and where you want to go, that there aren't going to be the bad days, that there aren't going to be the lonely days, that there aren't going to be, kind of challenges that come up. It just means you're going to be able to handle them so much better, and you're not going to let them be obstacles in your way.
And I, for me, I have a lot of mentors and positive support.
Mm,
So when I spiral down, and there's some days that I do, I go to them and they here's some insights for you. Have a look at this. This might be what you want to work on. A mentor who can not just listen to you, like friends want to defend you. Oh,
mm,
just dump them. Oh, they're
yeah.
just this or they're that. They don't deserve you. That's not really serving you if
Mm,
you're a person who really wants to grow spiritually. You
yes.
want you want someone who's going to point out where your learning is in all of this, where you can grow and move beyond that, and maybe help the other person as well.
Exactly. That's what true friendship is, and whether it's in person or online. In the 11 years of doing this, I have made some wonderful friends. And I may put out on Facebook, I'm just having a bad day or facing an obstacle, and I've got so much support. What can I do for you, Sarah? How can I lift you up? And it's vice versa. And this is the one thing that's great about the internet. It doesn't always have to be people in your immediate community.
Right.
But don't be afraid to ask for help, to
Mhm.
say I'm having a bad day. People think that, oh, she's evolved now, higher conscious things and kumbaya, always going to be positive and happy. No, that's not the reality. We have those dips because we are human and we feel and things happen to us. And if we can lift each other up on those days and help support each other, that is still part of that positive wave.
And sometimes a good friend is pointing things out. You know,
Yes.
as a friend, even I know these patterns. Have you considered that might be part of it?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
That can be a bit of a touchy situation, though.
Yes, it can be.
Got to
You've
be
got to really trust
presented
that
very,
person where they're coming from, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Mm,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. And I think once you've turned the tide and you've got up to that higher frequency and you really actually understand why you're here and you're not living in the old patterning, you're in a new pattern. But I think one of the things that we need, and it doesn't matter what age we are, we all need a purpose.
Yeah.
But it's a totally different purpose now, isn't it, as we get older?
Yeah, it's a, yeah, it's different, and it's for me, it's been a fabulous experience down here. I'm in a senior
Mm,
complex, retired, they can be anywhere from 50 upwards.
Hmm.
And it's been a wonderful experience seeing couples who still really connect, who are really
Mm,
loving, who are experience life to its fullness. And then, I see other couples that are not as connected
hmm,
and still together. And that makes me sad that,
mm.
do you know what could be? This could be turned around. There is a way to reconnect, re-energize, and rejuvenate your relationship if you're willing to look at it, if you're willing to do the work and work on yourself.
And you may see this, and you may see it even in friends, but very often we can't say anything and we can't do anything until you see that window of free will, of them willing to accept it. Because
Yeah.
otherwise they feel that it's an attack. So,
Mhm.
people, I just tell them to do this, or they've got to do that. If they're not ready, they're going to put the walls up,
Yeah.
right? But I think sometimes, have you heard this, or did you listen to that podcast? Have you read this book? It's fantastic. It does this and that. You're planting seeds of inquiry of, maybe I will when no one's looking, pick up that book or listen to that podcast. And then people go, all right, I'm willing to open up. But very often you have to plant those seeds and nurture them before they're willing to open up.
Yeah, a lot of people take the approach, you should.
Yeah.
Let's see, I don't like the word should. Don't should
Mm.
on me.
Yeah.
Anytime I hear should, it's like, mm. So for me, it's a phrase that I generally use is, have you considered?
Mm.
Have you considered this possibility? Have you considered this might be what he's thinking? Have you considered? It comes across as, and again, I'm letting go of outcome.
Yeah.
As I'm sharing this, they have no need to take what I'm taking in. That
Hmm.
was a big healing step for me, is
Hmm.
letting go of outcome. I can give people advice and wisdom, and then I'd be attached to the outcome, right?
Right.
I want them to take this because I gave it to them. Now it's like, have you considered? And then I release my energy from it and
Hmm.
let them either pick it up or, like you say, plant the seeds that
Mm.
maybe down the road they'll hear it again, or they'll hear it again and they'll go, oh, there that is again.
Yeah.
I said that to me. Oh, maybe I'll look at that.
Mm.
And that's how you start to grow things.
Yes. People have got to be ready. If they don't have the free will, then you're imposing.
Yeah.
If they've got the free will, then you're inviting.
Yeah.
Which really, I mean, inspiration begets invitation. And when they're inspired by someone, that invite is, I want to know more. How can I get to that? I always refer to when Harry met Sally, you know,
Mhm.
is I want what she's having. And
Yeah.
so when somebody is inspired or uplifted by something, how are they doing it? How are they doing it? I want to know. And when they're there, that's when you can kind of open up the gates and say, come on in and give it a try.
Yeah, I get many people following me on Facebook and they see me down here in Mexico living my best life and they'll say, oh, you're so lucky. And I say to them, no luck involved.
Hmm.
I consciously created my life with my thoughts, with my actions, with my vibration, with doing the work of releasing limiting beliefs and sabotaging behaviors. And this is the life I'm living.
Exactly.
I created this on a vibrational level. This is my second year here.
Hmm. Exactly. Um, it is our limiting beliefs or the believing, well, I can't do that. And it's, well, why not? Everything is an algorithm. Everything has energy pattern. All energy patterns can be measured by mathematics, and
Mhm,
everything is about being in that frequency on the wavelength, traveling that. And when you are traveling, the universe wants to give us abundance.
mhm.
It wants to give us everything. I mean, we've just got to tap into that and ride the wave. That if we feel unworthy or we feel it's for everyone else and not for us, then you're going to be perpetually at the station, never getting on the train.
Yeah. It's that envy thing, right? Well,
Mm.
it's easy for you. It's easy for you because
Yeah. Yeah.
well, it wasn't easy for me, but I did create it. Or
Yes.
excuse me, and I did create it.
Right. Right. And again, is that assumption. I like the Don Rules for Agreements, speak your word with integrity, don't take things personally. Um, ask, don't assume, and then just simply do your best up to what you believe is your best, not somebody else's idea of what it is. It's four simple kind of rules, but don't take things personally is I think is an important one. Assumption. because everybody loves to step into assumption. Instead of assumption, ask,
Yeah.
how do you do it? I know that
Mhm.
you're a pensioner and etc., but how do you do it? You're
Mhm.
not being rude to someone by asking them. You're inquiring, you're intrigued.
Yeah, yeah, and that's that's the thing, right? And that's why I'm passionate about what I do. That's why I want to teach people how to live their best life. Maybe their best life is camping in the background. Maybe
Mm,
it's the connection with their family so deep that it's Friday night with popcorn
mm,
and movies. Maybe that's their best life right now. Not everyone can live on a beach in the winter. It's my age. I couldn't have done this 10 years
right.
ago,
Hmm.
but you save and you save and you save and you save. And for that day, and then finally I needed to sit down with my lack beliefs, excuse me, I've got a bit of a cold, and look at, is it possible? If I
Hmm.
took out how much of my pension or my retirement, and for so many years, is it possible? And so that's what I did.
Hmm. Yeah. And I think this is another thing. Yes, it's good to have the cushion for your future, the retirement, to look after you in your old age. But so many people forget to live now. You're so busy
Exactly.
taking care of tomorrow, but what about today? You're miserable today.
Yeah. And there's so much around us that can lift us up. I live in Calgary, Alberta. We have the mountains, the beautiful
Mm,
Rocky Mountains. We have Lake Louise, that is one of the destinations of the world, and Banff only an hour away. And
which is
I often
beautiful.
say to myself, why am I not out there more often? You can just feel the energy.
Mm,
So where is your place? Is it, nature is one of the best ways to
yeah.
reground you, rejuvenate you. What is your favorite thing to do? Is it fishing in the summertime? Is it boating? Is it just going to a lake and sitting on a beach? There is a way to create your best life wherever you are right now.
Yeah, under any circumstances, rich or poor, right? Any circumstances.
Absolutely.
You know, um, Living in joy is a choice. You can see the joyful things, someone, well, the trees are all bare, but yeah, just look, there's a bud growing. New growth is happening. Nature is constantly rejuvenating itself. It dies and it comes back to life. It dies, it comes back to life, but it's never truly dead. It's just resting. And that's the beauty of it. I think nature is a wonderful place when you connect to nature to connect to self, because nature and us are one.
It's also a great way of releasing things. I just
Hmm.
did a walk on the beach here this morning because there's things I need to release. We're layers of onions and
Hmm.
things come up and, you get triggered. Oh, I've healed that. No, that's not coming up again. Oh my gosh, you're kidding. That's here again. And so I walked on the beach and in the water and I consciously thought about things that I wanted to release,
Hmm.
old patterns, holding on to old hurts or wounds or issues with people, and just release them. I choose to release them. I'll give them to Mother Earth. I'll give them to the ocean. And as the waves come in, bring
Yes.
me healing, bring me release, bring me
Yeah.
healing. If they go out, here is what I'm giving you. Thank you for taking that. And
Yeah.
you can do that wherever, right? In the
Yes.
bathtub.
Yes. Well, water is a conduit. It's a wonderful conduit. And the whole thing about, the waves on the shore, just put your feet in there and let it wash away. Immerse your whole body if you can. Let it wash things away. The other thing is the wind, the breeze and the wind clearing things away. We say clearing out the cobwebs, but I give a lot to the wind. Let it take it away from me. But the trees and the rustle of the leaves and the way they talk to you, and the
Yeah,
vibration of the ground, it is a connection into self
yeah.
always. And when you allow that connection, what you need to address will come up. But at the same time, nature says, let me take it from you.
Mhm. I did a walk uh, when I first came down here and walked up the beach, and there's these solid rocks, but there's been grooves that have in them from the
Hmm.
ocean waves. And I
Mm,
looked at that and I thought, that's sort of like our limiting beliefs. Sometimes it takes a long time
yeah.
to, the limiting beliefs are strong, but you can release them. And then I was walking this morning and there's this young fellow fishing, and as I went past him, this big wave came in and soaked him. And he looked over at me and he said, "It's the big ones that get you, isn't it?" And that's sort of like life, right? You can go along and you have your feet and the waves come in and they're gentle and they're kind of fun. And then all of a sudden, whoosh, you get sidelined by a wave. And you need to, as you said, it's just a chapter. You just need to work your way through it and release it.
I think another thing that we forget, because we get bogged down in seriousness, we forget to laugh. We forget
Mhm.
humor. And, there's so much to laugh at, laugh with, even ourselves, the suddenly doing something with them. I couldn't imagine myself doing this a year ago, and it's humor is so important, isn't it? That we need to lighten up.
Absolutely. We take life way too seriously. And I became aware a while ago with all the work that I had been doing. I've been single a long time. And all of a sudden I realized how closed down my heart was. I can be
Mm,
loving and caring with friends and
yes.
with kids, but to welcome a partner in, like all of a sudden the consciousness came and went, I got a wall around my heart, not just a
Mm,
wall, a brick wall.
yes.
And so it was in recognizing that and releasing it and becoming softer and gentler. And what I find too in dating, men are way more sensitive and confused by us women than you can imagine.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we grow up and our fathers are these figures that looked after us, and we were if we were lucky, we had that experience where our dad really was our, on a pedestal. And then you go look for a partner, well, he's not your dad and he's not always going to give in to your needs and
Yeah.
wants. It's a relationship you're looking for, right? So there's a lot of confusion in that heart space of opening up your heart to someone who is different from you, but maybe willing to love you, but you've got your walls up.
But, the thing is, we're all looking to be loved. We're all looking to love someone. To actually allow someone to put their arms around you with that heart to heart, you just feel safe. You just feel this is home. I mean, like I've been single now for way too many years. I haven't been out on a date for, oh goodness, I don't know, 15 years or something ridiculous. And I suppose I'm not I'm just not, I'm not a pack person. So I don't belong to groups. So I just don't get to meet people. But yes, I am aware I give my love out to everyone, but it is guarded when it comes to male relationships.
Yeah.
And I understand, when people say, I've been hurt before and I'm afraid to open up, but we're not going to be get hurt in the same way because we know how to recognize the red flags.
Yeah.
So if we see something coming up and you think, no, that there's not honoring my space, this isn't going to work, then we can shut it down. But to not open up altogether and deny ourselves that wonderful connection, we're not serving ourselves. So I'm aware
Sometimes
of
I
that
believe
too.
sometimes I believe I've shut things down way too early. You
Yeah,
know, I haven't given the other person a chance,
yeah.
or I have this expectation that they need to be almost exactly like me. And
Mm,
I'm coming to the realization, when I open that up, there's so much more richness comes in
mm.
that I learn from these other people. I met a man once. I was in a brief relationship with him, and he wasn't a life partner, but he was a life-changing partner
Yes,
because he
yes.
taught me desirability. And
Mm,
that was the thing that opened me up to being really more passionate and open and loving. And even if I get hurt now, it's like I may get hurt again, but
hmm.
there's also a richness in that, a
Yes, there.
learning in that, a growing in that, because I can handle the hurt now.
Mm,
I'm not
yeah,
so wounded that I'm not able to handle the hurt. I'll go,
exactly.
well, I learned from that. I valued that. I know that now. I'll take that part with me and I'll keep going.
I think one of the things we're scared to show as women is our sensuality. We
Mhm.
love having all of our senses engaged. And in my sensuality of love of life, connection of life, being in the vibe was always taken as an invitation for sexuality.
Yeah.
And when somebody can recognize your sensuality, your connection with life, that the passion and love for life isn't always an open invitation to sex, and they just want to be around you or love you for who you are,
yeah.
And whatever comes from it comes from it. But I think that is something we do actually need to teach men, and women should not be afraid. I'm saying should not be afraid of being sensual, being engaged in life, being the exuberant self, and just also being discerning of which men pick it up and what are they picking up, because it's already it's okay to kind of dance with someone and he makes the move and you're not in the mood for the move, to say no, I enjoyed the dance, but don't
Mhm.
deny yourself your women's sensuality, because that is a zest for life, that you are just living your life at your fullest.
And that's what he did for me. He really
Hmm.
opened my sensuality, which took my life experience in a whole new direction of feeling myself, the awakening to all the senses even higher, right?
Hmm.
The fun, the playfulness, yeah, he was a life-changing partner.
I had one of those that 5.5 years after my divorce, or my separation, and it was somebody. He was a spiritual lover, so he really did embrace my sensuality, had it all come back out again, and really for me to tap into my spirit, which I had shut down and been guarded on, it didn't work. Kind of that part of it died out. We grew apart, um, and I haven't dated or anything since, and it's not because I don't want to. It's just that I don't know. It just hasn't happened. I'm
Mhm.
not around the people, but at the same time, feeling alive, feeling
Mhm.
alive, and just, I don't know about you, that ache you get in your arms. You just want to hold somebody. That
Mhm.
connection of holding another life, and that's probably why my poor little grandson gets squeezed to death. It's that feeling of being able to hold someone and
Mhm.
just feel kind of safe in their arms, and where you can both enjoy the zest of life together. And I think
Yeah,
that's what we miss, and that's what
yeah,
I'm missing, and I do need to make a point of trying to find it. But at the same time, it's we can also do it for ourselves. We can also be it for ourselves, and then we will attract those people that
yeah.
match with their own sensuality.
Yeah, yeah, and again, we're back to the vibrational level, right?
Yeah.
You attract what
Yep.
where you are and what you're looking for, and, put it out there. I truly believe there is a
Hmm.
partner for me, and it doesn't matter I'm at this age or stage or whatever. I believe there is a partner for me, and I believe he will be coming soon.
Exactly.
That's how
Exactly.
you create on the vibrational level. And the saying that I have is a man who fits beautifully with my life and me with his, and
Mm.
that we are soulmates and that we enjoy the same things and will want to love deeply.
That wonderful companionship, where
Yeah,
you can actually be in the room with somebody and you don't need to talk. You
yeah,
can both be reading a book or doing your own thing, but you can look up and then share.
yeah.
It's when you feel comfortable with someone, not constantly having to be on guard, or, are they pissed off that I'm reading a book, or, it's or the need to entertain each other. Is that you're entertaining each other just by being in each other's presence, even if you're being
Yeah.
still and doing your own thing, which, we still, age is not something well, you're too old to date now, balderdash. I
Mhm.
have a wonderful woman that I've interviewed called the Pink Lady, that took on a new lover at 90 and then
Nice.
started her own TV show, and it's,
Nice.
and it's, I mean, she's got chutzpah. I mean, definitely chutzpah. I love her energy. I love her zest for life. And another one at 82, she's always putting out dancing videos, and she's artist and plays music, and right through COVID she wrote a poem every single day and posted
Wow.
it every day.
But
And
see,
she,
there again, it's mindset, right? It's
yes,
conscious, exactly what you're talking about.
yeah,
They are creating the life they want to live.
yes, yeah. And she came from being a prisoner of war. When she was a child, she came from them marrying somebody who imprisonated her in the marriage in a new country. But if she found that the the zest artist in her had to come out, and she
Yeah,
followed that path, and she's
nice.
living in that best life now. And
Yeah,
it is possible. It is all possible. We've just got to believe that you're worthy of it, because you are,
yeah,
and that you can manifest it, but
yeah,
you've got to celebrate yourself, be it.
There definitely are the steps through the process for sure.
Yes.
It's not just we're just, this is what you got to do. There's definite steps through the process to get you there.
And that's the point. This is not the Amazon delivery. This is not, okay, I've got to do this, and this. Okay, I'm doing it. Nothing's happening. But as you said, there's the one step. You've got to honor the awareness where you're at now. Be aware of what you need to let go and diligently let it go. Insert new patterns. Everything is a step by step. And you
Yeah,
have to be willing to invest in yourself and go through the process. I kind of call it a rebirthing, that 9 months of gestation and then rebirthing yourself. But this time your life is in your hands.
and it always is.
Yes,
There's a good friend or a fellow I met, and his name is W. Mitchell, an amazing story. But he is saying, it's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it. And
exactly.
he was
Hmm.
burned badly. He was in many car wrecks and whatnot, in a wheelchair, and it's not what happened. And the most positive person I've
Hmm.
ever met. It's not what happens to you, it's what you do about it.
Yeah, there's a young girl called Keshi, and I'd interviewed her, and she was a burn victim from an airplane, only two survivors. She was 65% burnt on her body. And she inspired me then when I interviewed her. And then one day I'm watching America's Got Talent, and there she is, and
Mhm,
clearly disfigured. Everybody, and then she sang. And
mhm.
the music in her, the song in her is what kept her alive through hundreds of operations and skin grafts and everything else. And I had her on again, but I had her also on with a burn victim of a veteran whose hair had been blown up in a Humvee, burnt right down to his scalp. And people who listened to the show said they cried, not because they felt sorry for them, because they were so inspired by them.
That's right.
They have
That's,
challenges every single day,
yeah.
but every single day they're grateful for being alive and they live life.
Yep. Yep. That's what it's about. That's why we do this, you and me.
Yes, exactly. So when somebody decides, I am now ready to take the steps, what is the procedure that you take them through? What is the kind of program that you offer?
The program is the step by step, the healing of the limited beliefs, the vibrational, teaching them the law of attraction, manifesting the power of the words, all of the things that we've talked about today. And I have a free assessment for people, an hour assessment of live your best life, to sort of question them, to jog their sort of curiosity is, what is it that I want to do? What is it that I'm yearning for? What is it that I want to experience more? So there's a link that you can send them that is Live Your Best Life Assessment. And then I offer them my resources of a program where I'm a mentor and I walk them through this process where they get to live their best life.
So what would be the best site for them to get hold of you at?
EileenHead.com.
Will you spell that for the people who are just listening, please, love?
Yep. EILEEN at, no, Eileen Head, sorry, EILEENHEAD.com. So EileenHead.com.
And of course, if people want to reach out to you, it's Eileen at EileenHead.com. And you're on Facebook, you're Eileen Head Consultant, LinkedIn, Eileen Head, Twitter, Eileen C Head, Pinterest, Eileen, and of course, you have a YouTube channel as well. And so everything is there. And then when they go to your site, you have got the Let's Chat for free, the free personality testing,
Yep,
which I highly recommend because when you know what your personality trait is, it makes so much sense to you of how you
yep,
interact with people. You've got personality readings, live your best life coaching, shift coaching, stay or go in relationships, single, Enneagram and newsletter. And so it's all here. So people can just cruise in and when they're ready, reach out. But I think, reach out with that free personality testing and then chat. Because
yeah,
then it's going to be, I didn't know I was doing this or I was doing that. And when you're in that awareness, then you're more open to receive.
yeah, yeah. And the most fascinating thing is ourselves. And
Yes.
as we learn more about ourselves and learn why we do what we do,
Mm.
that's where the power comes from.
Yeah.
That's where it builds up and it's like, oh, when I get triggered, it's like, wow, isn't that interesting? That's coming up again. And I'm going to handle it this way.
I have, I call what I'm a milestone. So sometimes you have a bad day and you think I'm stuck, what's going on? And then you think, okay, pause, look back. Where were you 5 years ago? Where were you 10 years ago? Where were
Yeah,
you a year ago? Look how far
yeah,
you've come. Look
absolutely.
how far all you're doing is pausing. And maybe the pausing is for a reason because you think you're going this way and really you should be turning right.
Yeah. I just want to tell people there's a life out there so much more than you're
Hmm.
living. There can be so much more richness and joy and happiness and you know, find one of us, find Sarah or come to me. We will lead you through to live your best life.
We've got the path. Um, we've got the skills and the tools to put in your backpack. We'll be the cheerleader and the guider, but you've got to walk it.
Yeah. Choose it. Yeah.
And you're never too old, and you're
No.
never too young, and it's never too late.
Nice. Yeah. Absolutely. Thank you so much for
Thank
having
you.
me on.
My pleasure, my pleasure. I mean, you're clearly living your best life. There you are in Mexico again, the
Let me
second
show
year.
you, let me show you my view here. Um,
You're just trying to make us envious and jealous here. Oh, fantastic. The pool, the ocean, the palm trees. I can feel the breeze. I can feel the sun. Ah, wonderful.
if
Yeah,
I can manifest something like this, you can too.
exactly. Yeah, but you've got to know what you want to manifest, and you've got to know your patterning that's getting in the way, and you've got to be willing to go through the process because nothing happens at the snap of the finger. It is work, but it doesn't have to be arduous. It can be rather creative and inquisitive.
Yeah. All right. Many
Uh,
blessings to you.
You too. Until next time, folks, remember, you're worthy of it. You can do it. And all you need to do is reach out. Until next time, bye for now. We hope that you enjoyed the show. Find all of our shows on selfdiscoverymedia.com under podcasts or selfdiscoverymedia/shows. And for all our current shows, go to What's New. We are supported by you, the audience. You'll see a nice big shiny blue button for one-time donations or follow us on Patreon and you will be able to support us there. We enjoy bringing you such wisdom. And the next show will be up in just a moment.